In the shadow of Arizona's painted canyons, fate weaves an unlikely tale of redemption. Sarah Mitchell tends her isolated homestead, a widow whose quiet life is shaped by the rhythms of frontier solitude. But when an injured Apache warrior collapses, at her door, pursued by both his people and cavalry scouts, she makes a choice that defies everything she knows. With skilled hands and ancient herbs, she heals not just his wounds, but opens a door between two worlds. As dawn breaks over the desert, she faces a decision that will forever alter her path. Guided by mysterious eagle spirits and bound by a connection deeper than words, she must choose between the safety of her known world and the dangerous freedom of his. What price would you pay to follow the whispers of destiny, even if it meant leaving everything you've ever known behind? Before we jump back in, tell us where you're tuning in from. And if this story touches you, make sure you're subscribed, because tomorrow I've saved something extra special for you. Sarah Mitchell's fingers. Trace the smooth gold of her wedding band as she stared out across the desert dawn. The ring had grown loose over the years, just as the memories of Thomas had begun to fade like morning mist. 5 years a widow, and still the band remained, a reminder of promises made and a life left behind in Boston's civilized streets. The homestead stretched before her, a testament to Thomas's dreams and her own stubborn determination. Adobe walls rose from the harsh earth, weathered but strong, much like the woman who now tended them alone. The garden, her pride, defied the Arizona Territory's unforgiving climate, herbs and vegetables mingling in careful rows. Western wisdom, paired with knowledge gleaned from watching the native women who sometimes traded at the settlement. Morning light caught the edge of something peculiar near her doorstep. Sarah knelt, her calloused fingers closing around a single eagle feather. She held it up to the rising sun, studying its markings with the careful eye of someone who'd learned to read the desert's subtle signs. The old Apache woman who'd taught her about desert herbs would have said this was a message, but Sarah had lived too long on the frontier to easily embrace such notions. Inside her cabin, dried herbs hung from the rafters, sage, yarrow, and plants, whose names she knew only in Apache. The settlers' wives whispered about her, she knew, called her peculiar for mixing Indian medicine with proper Christian healing. But their whispers didn't stop them from coming when fever struck their children or wounds festered beyond the help of conventional remedies. Sarah set her kettle to boil, adding a pinch of willow bark for her aching joints. Thomas would hardly recognize her now, the proper Boston lady transformed by frontier life into something altogether different. Her hands, once soft from piano playing, now bore the marks of hard work and healing. Her skin had darkened under the desert sun, and her once fashionable dresses had given way to practical garments that wouldn't catch on desert brush. The Trading Post's ledger still listed her as Widow Mitchell, but she'd grown into more than just Thomas's remnant. The natives called her medicine woman, and even the cavalry doctor occasionally sought her counsel, though he'd never admit it officially. She'd found purpose in this harsh land, bridging worlds with poultices and prayers, earning respect from those wise enough to look past her gender and her solitary ways. A commotion from the settlement drew her attention. Riders approaching from the south, cavalry scouts by their bearing. Sarah watched them through her window, noting their urgent pace, trouble brewing again between the army and the Apaches. Such news always brought a tightness to her chest, knowing how such conflicts tore at the fragile peace of the territory. She touched the eagle feather, now tucked into her apron pocket. The morning's strange find seemed heavier with meaning as she watched dust rise from the rider's approach. Change hung in the air, like the promise of rain before a storm, and Sarah had lived in the desert long enough to read such signs. The kettle's whistle broke her reverie. She moved to take it from the fire, her wedding band catching the light. For a moment she saw herself as others must, a woman alone on the edge of civilization, straddling worlds that others thought best kept separate. The band had grown loose. Yes, but she'd never considered removing it. Until now she hadn't questioned why. Sarah poured her tea, adding honey from the hives she kept behind the cabin. The sweet scent mingled with sage and morning air, and she allowed herself a small smile. Thomas had died chasing his dreams of frontier riches, but she had found something rarer, a life that belonged wholly to herself, shaped by choice rather than convention. The cavalry riders were closer now, their voices carrying on the morning air. Soon they would bring their news, and the settlement would buzz with fresh fears and speculation. But Sarah knew that real change rarely announced itself with thunder. More often it came quietly, like an eagle feather left in the dawn, waiting to be found by hands ready to grasp its meaning. Running thunder moved like a shadow through the canyonlands, each step measured despite his wounds. Blood darkened his leather vest, but he didn't dare stop to tend it. Behind him, hoofbeats echoed off ancient stone, cavalry scouts who'd been tracking him since dawn. Ahead lay worse dangers, his own people who'd marked him for death after. The vision that had shattered everything. His medicine pouch bounced against his chest as he ran, its contents rattling softly. Sacred herbs, stone fragments from the speaking caves, and the small obsidian mirror his grandmother had given him. When she'd first recognized his healing gift, the pouch felt heavier now, weighted with broken trust and accusations of tribal betrayal. The vision had come during a healing ceremony, powerful, undeniable. Eagle Spirit had shown him a future where Apache medicine merged with the white man's ways, where healing transcended the boundaries of blood and tribe. He'd spoken of it to the tribal elders, believing they would understand. Instead, they had named him Betrayer. Death marked him for daring to suggest such sacrilege. Pain lanced through his side as he pressed on. The bullet had only grazed him, but the fall from his horse had cracked ribs. Each breath burned like summer lightning. He'd lost his horse, his weapons, everything except the medicine pouch and the truth of his vision. Eagle Spirit had promised guidance, had whispered of a pale-skinned medicine woman who would help him fulfill his destiny. But first, he had to survive. The sound of pursuit faded as clouds gathered overhead, unusual for this season. Thunder rolled across the peaks, his namesake spirit speaking. As a boy, he'd earned his name during such a storm, when lightning had struck the ground before him 7 times without harm. The medicine men had said the thunder spirits had marked him as their own. Now he wondered if they'd marked him for a different purpose. The white woman's face from his vision haunted him. Strong features softened by compassion, eyes that held wisdom, learned from suffering. She would understand the price of walking between worlds. Eagle Spirit had shown him her healing hands, had promised their combined knowledge would forge something new, something needed. He stumbled, catching himself against red rock. His grandmother's final teachings echoed in his mind. The hardest medicine to make is the kind that heals old hatreds. Sometimes the spirits ask us to break tradition to preserve its heart. She alone might have understood his vision, but she had passed beyond 2 winters ago, leaving him to walk this dangerous path alone. The medicine pouch held one last gift, a small bundle of sacred herbs wrapped in deerskin. Herbs that, properly used, could slow bleeding and dull pain, but using them required stopping, and stopping meant death, either from the cavalry's bullets or his own people's arrows. The choice had been stripped from him the moment he'd spoken. His vision's truth. Ahead, through the gathering storm, he glimpsed lights. The white settlement his vision had shown him. Somewhere in those scattered buildings waited the medicine woman, though he knew neither her name nor exactly where to find her. Eagle Spirit had promised she would recognize him, would understand what needed to be done. A hawk's cry pierced the darkening sky. Not a hawk, he realized, but Eagle Spirit's voice guiding him. The storm grew stronger, and with it came the familiar sensation of power flowing through him, the gift that made him both healer and outcast. Thunder spoke again, closer now, and in its voice he heard his grandmother's wisdom. Some medicines cure by breaking what was wrongly mended, so it can heal true. He pressed on toward the settlement's lights, each step bringing him closer to either salvation or doom. The vision that had cost him everything now drove him forward, toward a destiny that would either heal two peoples or end in his death. But that was the way of powerful medicine. It demanded everything and promised nothing except the chance to serve something greater than oneself. The wanted poster fluttered against Sarah's door like a trapped bird. Dangerous renegade Apache. It proclaimed in bold letters. She studied the crude sketch while thunder growled overhead, an unusual storm for this season. Her neighbors had already begun barring their doors and windows against both weather and rumored danger. "He's headed this way," Tom Fletcher had warned earlier, thrusting the poster at her. "Army's been tracking him since dawn. Lock your doors." "Tonight, Widow Mitchell." His concern seemed genuine, though his eyes had strayed to her herb-hung rafters with their usual mixture of suspicion and reluctant respect. Sarah had nodded politely, but left her door unbarred. Something about the storm felt expectant, like the air before a healing crisis breaks. The eagle feather lay warm against her skin where she'd tucked it into her collar, a constant reminder of the morning's strange portent. The first heavy drops of rain began to fall as darkness settled over the settlement. Sarah trimmed her lamp and set water to boil, a healer's habit, being prepared for whatever the night might bring. The storm intensified, rain drumming against her roof like indigenous spirits dancing. The knock, when it came, was barely distinguishable from the thunder, but Sarah felt it more than heard it, a desperate drumbeat against her door that resonated with something deep in her soul. She moved without hesitation, lamp held high as she opened to the storm. He fell forward across her, threshold rain-soaked and bleeding. Sarah caught a glimpse of proud features twisted in pain, of elaborate medicine symbols painted on leather vest and skin before he collapsed completely. The wanted poster's sketch hadn't captured the dignity in his face, nor the healing spirits, carved into his medicine pouch. "Inside," she murmured, though he was beyond hearing. Somehow she managed to help him clear of the door, knowing that any moment a neighbor might glimpse them through the storm. She barred the door behind them, not out of fear of him, but of those who hunted him. Blood darkened his side, but his breathing was strong. Sarah worked quickly, methodically, years of healing experience guiding her hands. Off came the wet vest, revealing wounds that spoke of both bullet and fall. The medicine pouch he wore caught her attention, similar to one she'd seen medicine men carry, but marked with symbols she'd never encountered. His eyes opened as she cleaned the bullet graze, dark gaze fixing on her face with startling intensity. Recognition flickered there, though they'd never met. His hand moved to grasp her wrist, not to stop her work, but in gesture of connection. "Eagle spirit," he whispered in English rough from disuse, "said you would know me." The eagle feather at her collar seemed to warm at his words. Sarah's hand stilled for just a moment as pieces of a puzzle she hadn't known she was solving fell into place. The strange morning finding, the unprecedented storm, this wounded healer with truth in his eyes, all forming a pattern she could no longer ignore. "Be still," she told him, resuming her work. "The settlement's been warned about you. We'll need to move quickly once you're stable." The "we" slipped out before she'd consciously decided, but felt right as spring rain. He nodded slightly, understanding everything she hadn't said. His hand moved to his medicine pouch, fumbling with its ties. Sarah helped him open it, recognizing herbs similar to those hanging from her rafters, though prepared differently. Together, they mixed his medicine with hers, his sacred herbs in her china cup, her willow bark alongside his healing prayers. Outside, hoofbeats approached through the storm. Sarah didn't hesitate. She extinguished her lamp and helped him into the root cellar beneath her floor. As she lowered the trap door, their eyes met again in the darkness. No words passed between them. but something profound did, a recognition of shared purpose that transcended the boundaries others had drawn between their peoples. The eagle feather pressed against her heart as she moved to answer the patrol's inevitable knock. She'd chosen her path the moment she'd opened her door to the storm. Everything that followed, all the danger and wonder and healing to come, began with that choice. The clay bowl had belonged to Sarah's grandmother, carried west from Boston in carefully wrapped linens. Now it held a mixture unlike anything its maker could have imagined: desert sage and cavalry doctor's alcohol, Apache healing herbs and settler's yarrow, all blended by 4 hands working in quiet harmony. The patrol had passed an hour ago, convinced by Sarah's careful mix of truth and omission. "No, Captain, I've seen no Apache warriors. Yes, I'll stay vigilant. The lamp, just refilling it before the storm worsens." The lies had felt like prayers on her tongue, necessary as medicine. Running Thunder sat propped against her hearth, fever-bright, but clear-eyed. His fingers moved with practiced grace, despite his wounds, crushing herbs with stone and murmuring prayers in his native tongue. The medicine pouch lay open between them, its contents telling a story Sarah was learning to read: eagle bones for vision, white sage for cleansing, stones from sacred places for strength. "Your ways," he said, watching her add willow bark too. "The mixture not so different from ours. Both seek balance, both understand spirit walks with body." His English was better now that fever wasn't clouding his mind, though he spoke with the careful rhythm of one who thought in another language. Sarah nodded, recognizing truth in his words. "My grandmother taught me healing too," she said, stirring. "The contents of the clay bowl. She said medicine was older than any one people's way of giving it." The bowl's glaze caught firelight as she worked, reflecting patterns that seemed to move with lives of their own. Together they began the healing ritual, his traditions weaving naturally with hers. She cleaned his wounds with sacred water while he sang softly, not just Apache healing songs, but something older, calling to spirits that knew no boundaries of tribe or race. Sarah found herself humming along, the melody feeling somehow familiar, like a language she'd known before words. The clay bowl passed between them, each application of medicine accompanied by prayers in 2 tongues. Sarah spoke the healing words her grandmother had taught her, while Running Thunder called to his thunder spirits. Their voices twined together, rising with the storm's wind, creating something new and powerful. "Eagle's spirit showed me this," he said during a pause in their work. "Showed me 2 medicines becoming one. My people," he touched his wounds significantly, "did not want to hear of such things." Sarah's hand stilled on the bowl. "Is that why? They hunt you? Because you saw a future where healing knows no boundaries?" The idea struck her with the force of revelation, illuminating her own path. The whispered accusations of witchcraft, the sideways looks from proper Christian women, all because she dared to learn from those they feared. Running Thunder nodded, then reached into his medicine pouch again. He withdrew something wrapped in soft leather, a small carved stone that seemed to hold starlight in its depths. "Grandmother's last gift," he explained. "Said to wait until I found one who could see past the shadows of fear, one who would understand. That greatest healing comes from bridging worlds." Their fingers met as she accepted the stone, and in that moment of contact, something shifted. The storm outside seemed to pause, thunder holding its breath. The eagle feather at Sarah's collar pulsed once with sudden warmth. Running Thunder's eyes widened, seeing something beyond the cabin's walls. "The spirits approve," he whispered. "They dance around us like rain." Sarah felt it too, a presence both familiar and utterly new, like the first time she'd successfully mixed Apache herbs with settler medicine and watched fever break under the combined power. The clay bowl between them seemed to glow with inner light, the medicines they'd mixed together taking on a life of their own. Outside, the storm began to ease, but within the cabin, something was just beginning. Their shared healing had forged A connection that went beyond wounds and medicine, beyond the simple act of saving life. They had created something new under the watching eyes of ancient spirits, a bridge between worlds that could never be uncrossed. Fever dreams came as the night deepened, but these were unlike any Sarah had witnessed before. Running thunders. Temperature rose despite their medicines, yet his face remained peaceful, as if he walked in sacred places. More striking still, she found herself drawn into his visions, the boundary between healer and patient dissolving like mist in morning sun. Above her herb-hung rafters, a dream catcher swayed without wind, a gift from the old Apache woman who'd first taught her desert medicine. Its intricate web seemed to catch moonlight and spin it into stories, pulling Sarah into a landscape of spirit and memory. She saw running thunder as a boy, standing fearless as lightning danced around him, saw him learning healing arts from his grandmother, whose eyes held the same wisdom Sarah remembered in her own grandmother's gaze. The values they taught, so different in detail, so similar in heart, echoed across years and cultures. "You see truly," Running Thunder murmured, his fever-bright eyes following the same visions. "Eagle spirit weaves our medicines together like threads in the dreamcatcher's web." His hand found hers in the darkness, burning with healing fire rather than fever's heat. The visions shifted, showing future possibilities that took Sarah's breath away. She saw herself dressed in Apache garments, teaching young healers who carried both medicine pouches and doctor's bags. Saw Running Thunder speaking wisdom to a circle that included both tribal elders and frontier settlers, their combined knowledge flowing out like life-giving water, nurturing something new and vital. "This is what your people feared?" she asked, understanding deepening like night shadows. "This joining of traditions? They fear losing our ways," he answered, voice heavy with compassion for those who hunted him. "Cannot see that medicine grows stronger when different wisdom flows together like rivers joining." The dream catcher spun faster, its web glowing with captured starlight. Sarah felt her grandmother's presence strong as memory, approving this strange night of shared vision. The old woman had always said true healing meant being willing to learn new ways, to see with fresh eyes. Through their joined hands flowed understanding deeper than words. Sarah experienced Running Thunder's years of tribal training, the weight of tradition and responsibility. He, in turn, felt her journey from proper Boston lady to frontier healer, the courage it took to cross boundaries others thought fixed as stone. Eagle spirit manifested in their shared vision, not as the fearsome raptor of legend, but as a presence of infinite wisdom and compassion. Its wings spanned centuries, sheltering all traditions of healing beneath their spread. This was what Running Thunder had seen, what had marked him for death among his own people, medicine beyond the boundaries of tribe or race. "They will hunt us both now," he said, the words more sensation than sound in their dream-linked state. "Once they know you've helped me, shared in this medicine, then we'll face them together," Sarah answered, surprising herself with the certainty in her voice. The path ahead gleamed clear as starlight in their shared vision, dangerous but necessary, like all true medicine. The dreamcatcher's web pulsed once more with power, and their final vision showed the eagle feather Sarah had found that morning. But now they saw its true significance, a key unlocking ancient knowledge, a symbol of healing wings spread over wounded lands. Not just a sign, but a summons to something greater than either of them had imagined alone. As fever broke with the approaching dawn, the visions faded like stars yielding to sunrise. But the connection forged between them remained, strong as medicine, ancient as prayer. They had glimpsed their shared destiny through Eagle Spirit's eyes, and there could be no returning to the narrower worlds they'd known before. Sarah rose to check her windows, aware that dawn would bring fresh danger. The dreamcatcher hung motionless, now its work complete. Below its circular embrace, Running Thunder slept peacefully, his wounds already showing signs of the powerful healing they'd worked together. Outside, the first birds began their morning songs, unaware that the night had rewoven the world's pattern, one shared vision at a time. Sarah's journal lay open on her wooden table, its pages illuminated by early dawn light. Her pen hovered over the blank page as she searched for words to explain the unexplainable. How does one bid farewell to a life built over years? Finally, she began to write, "To whoever finds this, I leave this house and all within it to the settlement's care. Distribute my medicines to those who need them. The herbs hanging from the rafters are labeled in both English and Apache. Learn their uses if you can. Medicine belongs to no single people. I go now to follow a greater calling. Do not search for me. Like the desert plants I've tended, I must transplant myself to new soil to continue growing. Judge me if you must, but know that I follow the same healing path I've always walked, though it leads now beyond these settlement walls." She signed her name one final time as Sarah Mitchell, knowing it would be the last time she used her settler's identity. The writing slanted across the page, steady despite the weight of her decision. Through the window, she watched the sun paint the desert in shades of amber and rose, the same colors that had greeted her first morning on the frontier. Running Thunder stood in her doorway, stronger now but still moving carefully. He dressed in the pre-dawn darkness, his medicine pouch restored to its place of honor. "The cavalry patrol changes at sunrise," he said softly. "We must go before then." Sarah nodded, already dressed for travel in her most practical clothes. She'd packed lightly, only medicines, some dried food, and her grandmother's healing journals. The clay bowl, wrapped carefully in soft leather, nestled among herbs in her bag. Some things were too precious to leave behind. "Your people," Running Thunder said, watching her gather the last essentials, "they will not understand." "They haven't understood for years," Sarah replied, touching the eagle feather still at her collar. "Not since I first began learning Apache. Medicine. This is just the final step on a path I've walked since Thomas died." She moved through her cabin one last time, fingers trailing over familiar surfaces. Each herb bundle, each carved shelf held memories. Here she'd saved her first fever patient with a mixture of Western medicine and native herbs. There, she'd first dared to sing Apache healing songs while tending wounds. Every corner of this place had been a step toward this moment. The dream catcher still hung above, its web catching morning light. Sarah reached for it, then stopped, leaving it as a gift for whoever might need its protection next. Some medicines worked best when passed forward to new hands. Running Thunder watched her with deep understanding. "Eagle's spirit shows many paths," he said, "but walking them takes courage few possess." His words carried the weight of his own choices, his own abandoned certainties. Sarah shouldered her pack, surprised at how light it felt, perhaps because she carried only what truly mattered: medicine, knowledge, and the truth of her calling. The rest, all the accumulated weight of settler respectability, she left behind like shed skin. "They'll follow us," she said, stating fact rather than voicing fear. The settlement would not easily accept her choice, nor would Running Thunder's people welcome her without challenge. "Yes," he agreed, "but we carry strong medicine, stronger now that our paths join." He touched his medicine pouch, then gestured to her pack with its precious clay bowl. Two healings becoming one, like streams joining to form river. The sun crested the horizon as they slipped out her back door. Sarah had timed it perfectly. The night patrol would be drowsy, the morning patrol not yet in place. They would have perhaps half an hour before anyone noticed their absence. Looking back one final time, Sarah saw her cabin, as others would soon see it. Door closed, herbs drying, journal lying open in testimony to her choice. A life ended, or rather, transformed. Like Running Thunder's people who burned the old to make way for new growth, she was practicing a different kind of medicine now, the healing of worn-out boundaries, the mending of artificial divisions. They moved into the desert's embrace just as the sun cleared the mountains. Sarah felt the rightness of it in her bones, in the steady warmth of the eagle feather against her heart. Ahead lay uncertainty, danger, and the promise of something extraordinary. Behind lay safety, routine, and the slow death of compromise. She'd chosen life. The moccasins felt strange on Sarah's feet, so different from her sturdy settler's boots. Running Thunder had produced them from a hidden cache in the canyon walls, along with other necessities for their journey. Apache women move. Silent as wind, he explained, showing her how to tie them. Must learn new ways of walking now. They traveled through shadow-stained canyons, moving in the secret paths known only to the people. Sarah's feet blistered at first, unused to the soft-soled steps required for silent passage, but with each mile, she found herself adapting, learning. To read the desert's subtle language with new eyes. See how snake moves. Running Thunder pointed to tracks in the sand. Shows us where water hides beneath ground. His teaching voice reminded her of her grandmother's, patient, drawing wisdom from the simplest observations. All things connected. Tracks lead to water. Water draws animals. Animals show us medicine plants. Sarah studied the signs he indicated, connecting this new knowledge with her existing understanding of desert life. The medicine plants she knew from trading with Apache women now revealed themselves in their natural settings, their properties somehow clearer when seen in their true. They paused in a hidden alcove as noon heat peaked. Running Thunder built a small fire, careful to keep the smoke minimal. From his medicine pouch, he drew dried meat and unfamiliar herbs. "First meal of your new life," he said, offering her a portion. "Medicine in how we eat, too." The food was different from her settler's fare, but Sarah found herself appreciating its subtle flavors. As they ate, Running Thunder began teaching her basic Apache words, names of plants, simple greetings, important warnings. The language felt foreign on her tongue, yet somehow right, like rediscovering something long forgotten. "You're speaking." "Good," he encouraged, "like your heart already knows our words." He touched his medicine pouch thoughtfully. "Same way you understand our healing songs without learning." A shadow passed overhead, an eagle riding thermal currents. Both of them paused, watching its flight. The eagle feather at Sarah's collar seemed to pulse with answering warmth. These moments of spirit sign had become more frequent since their shared vision, as if the natural world itself acknowledged their joined path. "More tracks," Running Thunder said suddenly, studying the ground. "Near their resting place. Cavalry scouts from yesterday, and there," he indicated another set of prints, "my people's hunters, both seeking us." Sarah felt the weight of their pursuit, but not as fear. Rather, it was like the pressure before a thunderstorm, powerful but natural, necessary for what would follow. Her feet in their new moccasins seemed to understand something her mind was still learning. Every step away from her old life was a step into something larger. They moved on as the shadows lengthened, climbing higher into the canyon lands. Running Thunder showed her how to walk without disturbing stones, how to move through brush without leaving broken twigs to mark their passage. Each lesson was also a medicine teaching, how certain rocks could be crushed for poultices, which plants offered water to the knowing eye. Near sunset, they reached a hidden spring. Ancient pictographs decorated the rocks around it, spirit drawings that Sarah realized were actually medicine teachings, showing how to use the plants that grew in such places. Running Thunder nodded approvingly as she made the connection. "You see with healer's eyes," he said, "not just settler's eyes now." He knelt by the spring, drawing water in careful cupped hands. Old ones left these teachings for those who would come after, medicine stories in rock and water. Sarah removed her moccasins, checking her blisters by the fading light. Running Thunder showed her how to make a salve from spring moss and mineral mud, another medicine teaching woven naturally. Into the moment, as he demonstrated the technique, he continued her language lessons, giving her the Apache words for each component. The day's last light painted the canyon walls in shades of amber and rose, much like the dawn that had seen them leave her cabin. But Sarah was already changing, already becoming something new. Her blistered feet were a testament to that transformation, the physical price of walking between worlds. Above them, canyon wrens sang their evening songs, the notes echoing off ancient stone. Sarah listened with new understanding, hearing in their calls the same medicine songs she and Running Thunder had shared during their night of healing. All things connected, as he had said. All things medicine, for those who knew how to see. The medicine stick emerged from Running Thunder's hands like a living thing, each carved symbol seeming to breathe with power. He worked in the pre-dawn quiet, adding marks that Sarah now recognized as healing signs: eagle for vision, snake for renewal, thunder for transformation. 3 days into their journey, and already the language of Apache medicine was becoming clearer to her, like remembering a forgotten tongue. "Every true healer needs their own medicine stick," he explained, hands moving with practiced grace. "Not just tool, living thing, grows stronger with each healing, each teaching." His eyes met hers. "Time you begin making yours." Sarah selected wood from the juniper he'd indicated, feeling the life still humming within it. Her hands remembered other tools: surgeons' scalpels, mixing bowls, frontier poultices. But this was different. As she worked under Running Thunder's guidance, she felt herself connecting to something far older than settlers' medicine. "Let the wood speak," he instructed. "Like how plants tell you their healing properties. Same medicine, different form." His voice carried the cadence of his grandmother's teachings, echoing across generations. Sarah's fingers found patterns in the grain, following them with careful cuts. Symbols emerged, not copies of Running Thunder's traditional marks, but something new. The rising sun of her Boston heritage merged with Apache healing signs. European herb lore blended with desert medicine ways. The stick was becoming a bridge between worlds, just as she was. "Good." Running Thunder nodded, seeing the emerging design. "Medicine stick shows true path, cannot lie about healing gift." He touched a symbol she'd carved, one she hadn't consciously planned. "See, eagle spirit guides your hands." The mark did indeed resemble an eagle, though unlike any she'd seen in Apache art. Its wings curved to embrace other symbols: a mixing bowl, a sacred spring, healing plants from both her traditions. As she studied it, the eagle feather at her collar warmed in recognition. Their lesson was interrupted by distant hoofbeats. Both froze, listening intently. Running Thunder's face showed no fear, only careful assessment. "Cavalry patrol," he whispered. "Far side of canyon, cannot track us here." Yet the interruption served its own medicine teaching. Running Thunder showed her how to use the medicine stick to focus healing energy, to sense danger and safe paths. "Not magic," he explained. "Wisdom older than both our peoples, wisdom of Earth itself." They spent the morning in sacred practice, Sarah learning to balance her existing medical knowledge with Apache spiritual healing. Her hands grew sure with the medicine stick, using it to divine which plants would work best for different ailments. Running Thunder taught her healing songs, their voices blending in the canyon's natural amphitheater. Some songs older than Apache ways, he told her, come from time when all peoples knew same medicine, before walls built between tribes. His words carried no judgment, only recognition of how things had changed, and perhaps could change again. Sarah found herself sharing her own healing traditions, showing how European herbcraft often echoed Apache medicine. Running Thunder listened, intently recognizing overlapping wisdom. Together they discovered how certain Apache healing songs matched the rhythm of Christian healing prayers, how both traditions understood the spirit's role in healing the body. "This is what Eagle Spirit showed me," Running Thunder said softly. Why my people feared teaching. Old ones forget. Medicine belongs to no one tribe, belongs to all who heal with true heart. As if in answer, an eagle's cry echoed through the canyon. They watched it soar overhead, its wings spreading shadows across their work. Sarah's medicine stick seemed to pulse in her hands, responding to the bird's presence. The symbols she'd carved took on deeper meaning under its passage. Eagle. Spirit accepts your medicine, Running Thunder said, his voice carrying quiet awe. Rare gift. Many healers never receive such blessing. Sarah understood the honor and the responsibility it carried. Her choice to leave the settlement had been more than just a physical journey. She was walking a path of ancient healing, one that might help mend the divisions between peoples. As the day deepened toward evening, they continued their work. Sarah's medicine stick took on its final form, not purely Apache, not purely European, but something new and vital. Like the healing ways they were discovering together, it transcended the boundaries others had drawn. Running Thunder smiled as she completed the last marks. Now you carry 2 medicines, he said. Power of both worlds. Eagle Spirit was right. Your healing will help build bridges where others see only walls. The sacred tobacco pouch lay between them, its contents ready for the healing ceremony. Neither had expected to perform so soon. Before them, a young settler boy thrashed in fever, his parents hovering anxiously nearby. The family had stumbled upon their hidden camp by accident, their wagon wheel broken, their child burning with snake fever after a rattler's bite. He dies without medicine, Running Thunder said softly in Apache, his words meant only for Sarah. But healing him risks discovery. Sarah studied the boy's face, flushed with venom fever. Her healer's eyes noted the swollen leg, the spreading darkness around the bite. Standard settler's medicine wouldn't save him now. She'd seen similar cases end in death too many times, but together they had something more powerful. We heal, she answered in careful Apache, her accent strong, but her meaning clear. Medicine. Who cannot choose who needs it. Her hand moved to the eagle feather at her collar, drawing strength from its familiar warmth. Running. Thunder nodded, already reaching for his medicine stick. Together then. Your ways and mine. He began laying out healing tools. Her clay bowl beside his stone mortar, European herbs mixing with Apache medicines. The boy's father watched with obvious distrust, his hand straying toward his rifle. But the mother's eyes held only desperate hope. She'd heard whispers in the settlement about Widow Mitchell's healing gifts, about her knowledge of native medicines. Let them work, John, she pleaded. Dr. Jenkins is 2 days' ride and Tommy won't last that long. Sarah began the treatment as she'd begun so many others in her cabin, cleaning the wound, preparing basic medicines. But now she worked in harmony with Running Thunder, their movements choreographed, as if they'd practiced for years. He crushed sacred herbs in his mortar while she added willow bark to her clay bowl. Their voices rose together, her grandmother's healing prayers weaving through his medicine songs. The tobacco pouch provided ritual smoke that Running Thunder wafted over the boy with an eagle wing fan, while Sarah applied a poultice that combined settler's knowledge with Apache wisdom. The boy's father grew increasingly agitated as their ceremony continued. This is heathen work, he protested but didn't interfere. His wife's steady gaze held him in check, a mother's instinct recognizing true healing when she saw it. Hours passed in focused work. Sarah lost herself in the healing rhythms, barely, noticing when day faded to dusk. Running Thunder's medicine songs became her songs, his movements matched to her own. Together they fought the venom's darkness with light drawn from 2 traditions. Near midnight the crisis peaked. The boy's fever soared, his small body rigid with pain. Sarah felt Running Thunder's hand grasp hers, lending strength. Their medicine, sticks crossed over the child's chest, channeling healing energy in ways her settler's training would once have dismissed as superstition. But there was no denying the power that flowed through their combined medicines. The boy's breathing steadied. His fever broke like a thunderstorm, giving way to clear skies. By dawn, he slept peacefully, the angry darkness around the snakebite fading to healthy pink. A miracle, the mother whispered, tears tracking down her tired face. Even the father stood silent, his earlier skepticism replaced by wondering confusion. Running Thunder spoke carefully in English, his words chosen to bridge worlds. All healing comes from Great Spirit. We only help show the way. He began packing away his medicine tools, his movements unhurried despite the risk of lingering. Sarah added her own reassurance, giving the mother instructions that combined familiar settlers' remedies with their new medicine. Keep the poultice fresh, continue the tea mixtures. His body remembers the healing now, it will complete what we've begun. The father cleared his throat roughly. We owe you a debt, both of you. His eyes moved between Sarah and Running Thunder, seeing perhaps for the first time the humanity they shared. But others, they're still hunting you. Patrol passed yesterday heading south. Then we go north, Running Thunder said simply. He touched his medicine pouch, then made a decision. From it, he drew a small bundle of herbs, offering them to the mother. For the boy's healing, medicine knows no boundaries. The family departed with the rising sun, their wagon creaking into distance. Sarah and Running Thunder quickly broke camp, knowing their moment of safety was passing. But something had shifted with the night's work, some deeper healing begun. First of many, Running Thunder said as they walked. Eagle Spirit shows many such healings ahead, many bridges to build. Sarah touched her medicine stick, feeling the power of their combined healing still humming through it. One family's understanding had been changed, one child saved by united wisdom. It was a beginning. The ceremonial drum's deep voice echoed through the canyon at sunset, calling the people to healing. Sarah stood at the circle's edge, dressed in Apache clothing, her medicine stick firm in her grasp. 2 weeks had passed since the snake fever healing, and word had spread through hidden paths of a white woman who walked with Thunder's son, who knew old medicine and new. The drum belonged to Grey Dove, an elder medicine woman who had known Running Thunder's grandmother. She had found them 3 days ago, or perhaps allowed herself to be found, her weathered face showing neither welcome nor rejection. Eagle Spirit speaks of you, Grey Dove had said, studying Sarah with ancient eyes. Shows you in medicine dreams. Now we see if dreams speak true. The invitation to the healing ceremony had followed, both test and opportunity. Running Thunder stood nearby, his presence steadying. Remember, he murmured in Apache, his teaching voice gentle. Dance follows. Breath follows spirit, spirit knows way. The words were familiar now, part of her daily lessons in Apache medicine. The drum's rhythm shifted, calling dancers to take their places. Sarah felt the eagle feather pulse against her collar as Grey Dove began the medicine song. The words were Old Apache, but the power they carried needed no translation. This was the language of healing itself, older than any one people's way of speaking it. Running Thunder moved first, his steps following the drum's voice. Sarah matched his movements, letting muscle memory from days of practice guide her. Around, the mother healers joined the dance, medicine sticks raising and falling in rhythm, feet raising red dust in the dying light. She felt the moment the ceremony caught her up, when self-consciousness fell away like shed skin. The drum became her heartbeat, the medicine songs her breath. Running Thunder's grandmother had once told him that true healing came from moving between worlds. Now, Sarah understood with her whole being. Grey Dove's voice rose above the drum, calling the healing spirits. Sarah felt them answer, eagle wings. Shadowing the sky, thunder rolling distant greeting, desert wind carrying power. Her medicine stick moved of its own accord, drawing sacred symbols in the air. The circle tightened, dancers moving closer. Sarah found herself facing Running Thunder across the sacred space. Their eyes met, and in that moment the ceremony transformed. The medicine they had been building together, their shared vision of unified healing, flowed between them like visible light. Someone gasped. Sarah realized other dancers had drawn back, leaving her and Running Thunder alone in the circle's heart. Above them, an eagle screamed greeting. The drum's voice deepened, Grey Dove's song taking on new meaning. They moved together now, their medicine sticks crossing, creating patterns that spoke of both Apache wisdom and settlers' knowledge. Sarah's feet knew steps she had never learned, her voice joining Running Thunder's in songs she should not have known. Eagle spirit dances with them, she heard Grey Dove say. The medicine woman's voice carried both wonder and confirmation. Show's new way of healing. The ceremony peaked with thunder rolling overhead, unusual for the season, yet perfect for the moment. Sarah felt power course through her medicine stick, saw answering light flow through Running Thunders. Their combined medicine drew gasps of recognition from the watching healers. When the final drumbeat faded, silence held the canyon in sacred grip. Sarah stood beside Running Thunder, both breathing hard from the dance, both aware of the watching eyes. Grey Dove approached slowly, her medicine stick raised in judgment or blessing. The old woman studied them for a long moment, her face unreadable. Then, with deliberate care, she removed a ceremonial rattle from her belt, one marked with symbols of the highest healing practices. "Eagle spirit chooses true," she said, pressing the rattle into Sarah's hands. "Shows us path through shadow. Times, old medicine and new medicine flowing together like rivers joining." She touched the eagle feather at Sarah's collar. "You dance with power, Running Thunder's chosen one. Your medicine speaks with true voice." Around them, other healers nodded slowly. Not all. Some turned away, clinging to older ways. But enough remained, enough witnessed and understood. The medicine Sarah and Running Thunder had been building together had found its first real acceptance among the people. As stars emerged above the canyon walls, Running Thunder's hand found hers. The touch was brief, proper in ceremony's aftermath, but it carried the weight of changing worlds. Their shared medicine had taken its first public steps, blessed by thunder, witnessed by eagles, accepted by at least some of the people's healers. The drum's echo lingered in the canyon depths, like ancient spirits whispering of paths yet to come. The broken arrow lay between them in the firelight, its shaft split precisely down the middle, its feathers stained with old memories. Running Thunder held its pieces with ceremonial care, his face shadowed by more than evening's approach. After the acceptance at the medicine dance, Sarah had sensed him wrestling with a deeper truth that needed voice. "This arrow belonged to my father," he began, his words measured like medicine. "Dosses. He was war chief before Lightning Bear, who now hunts us. Man of old ways, strong ways." His fingers traced the arrow's broken edges. "He died believing I betrayed those ways." Sarah sat quietly, letting him find his path through painful memories. The eagle feather at her collar sat warm against her skin, as if lending strength to them both. Around them, desert night creatures began their songs, wilderness voices joining the stories telling. Vision came 3 moons ago, during healing ceremony. Running Thunder's voice carried echoes of that moment. "Young warrior, shot by cavalry patrol. I tried healing him old way, with sacred songs and spirit medicine. But wound was wrong kind, needed. Is settler's surgery knowledge too? I knew this, had watched settler doctor work once, but using white man's medicine." He gripped the broken arrow tighter. "Was forbidden. The warrior died," Sarah said softly, seeing the truth in his face. "Yes, death slow, painful. Could have saved him if allowed to use both medicines. Next night, Eagle Spirit came in dream, showed me future. Medicines joining, healers learning from all peoples. Showed me you." His eyes met hers across the fire. "Showed how many would die if old hatred kept medicine separate." He laid the arrow's pieces carefully on his medicine blanket. "I spoke of vision to tribal council, to my father. Said we must learn new ways of healing, or lose our people to wounds we could not treat. Father," Running Thunder's voice caught. "Father called it betrayal. Said I was no longer his son, no longer people's healer." Sarah watched him lift a small clay pot from his medicine pouch, one she hadn't seen before. From it he drew red ochre, the sacred paint of his people. With ritual care, he began painting symbols on the broken arrow pieces. Lightning Bear, new war chief, called me death-marked. Said vision was evil spirits working, not eagle spirits. Truth. Only my grandmother. He paused, touching his medicine pouch where it held her last gifts. Only she understood. Said sometimes oldest traditions survive by learning new ways to live. Like the desert plants, Sarah offered, that bend with storms to keep their roots strong. Running Thunder nodded, recognizing shared wisdom. Grandmother died defending my vision. Told council she had seen same future in her medicine dreams. They called her old, confused, but she stood strong, like mountain sage against winter wind. Her last words were for me. Run with thunder, find the healing woman, build medicine bridge between worlds. The painted arrow pieces gleamed in firelight, telling their own story. Sarah recognized healing symbols from both their traditions. Apache, medicine signs overlaid with patterns that could have come from her grandmother's doctor's bag. After grandmother died, Lightning Bear gave me 3 sons to leave tribal lands. Said 4th son would bring death arrows. Running Thunder's hands worked steadily, adding final marks to the broken shaft. I ran, but not from fear. Ran because Eagle's spirit showed path to you, to new medicine stronger than old divisions. He lifted the painted pieces, offering them for Sarah's inspection. She saw how he had transformed the arrows, breaking from symbol of division to sign of new growth, like a seed splitting to spread new life. Now you know full truth, he said quietly. Deathmark follows not just me, but any who help me. Lightning Bear believes mixing medicines will destroy Apache healing ways, will not stop hunting until old ways are protected, or I am dead. Sarah reached across the space between them, her fingers finding his around the broken arrow. Your grandmother was right, she said, feeling the eagle feather pulse with confirming warmth. Some traditions survive by growing into new forms. Our shared medicine proves this. Running Thunder's hand tightened briefly on hers. Yes, each healing we do, each life we save with combined medicine speaks this truth. But path ahead grows, more dangerous. Lightning Bear gathers warriors who reject change, who fear losing old ways. Then we must show them that nothing true is lost, Sarah answered, her voice carrying the strength of her own journey between worlds. That medicine grows stronger when wisdom flows together. The broken arrow lay between them, its painted symbols offering new meaning for ancient truths. Above, thunder rolled distant greeting, while an eagle's cry echoed through deepening night. The eagle bone whistle hung silent around Running Thunder's neck as they crouched in the shadow of towering canyon walls. Sarah pressed close to Redstone, her heart beating in time with distant hoofbeats. The cavalry patrol had been tracking them since dawn, their purpose made clear by the scout who rode with them, Lightning Bear's own son. They work together now, Running Thunder whispered, his voice barely a breath. Lightning Bear guides cavalry to us, thinking they will do what his warriors cannot. His hand rested on the whistle, a medicine tool used only in gravest danger. Sarah felt the eagle feather pulse a warning against her collar. Her medicine stick thrummed with nervous energy, sensing the approaching threat. 6 weeks of living Apache ways had changed her. She read the desert's warnings as clearly as she had once read medical texts. The patrol's leader voice carried across the canyon. Spread out, the renegade healer and the Mitchell woman passed. Through here recently. The words were followed by the sound of horses being urged into the narrow valleys that branched from the main canyon. They will find us soon, Running Thunder said calmly. Too many trails lead here, too few lead out. His eyes met hers, carrying memories of all they'd shared, healing dances, medicine teachings, quiet moments of growing love. You could still go back. Lightning Bear's quarrel is with me, not you. Sarah touched the medicine pouch at her belt, a gift from Grey Dove, marking her as a recognized healer among the people. Our medicines are joined now, she answered in Apache. Our paths are one. Running Thunder's smile carried the warmth of summer rain. He lifted the eagle bone whistle, its surface carved with ancient healing symbols. Then we faced them with all our medicine. Together. The whistle's call rose pure and wild, echoing off canyon walls. Sarah felt power surge through her medicine stick as she began the healing song Grey Dove had taught her, not a song of war, but one of opening eyes to truth. Running Thunder's voice joined hers, their combined medicine rising to meet the approaching danger. The cavalry patrol burst into view, rifles raised, but something in the whistle's cry, in the harmony of joined medicine songs, made them pause. Their horses shifted nervously, sensing power their riders couldn't name. "Stop right there," the patrol leader's voice cracked with uncertainty. "You're under arrest for—" His words died as thunder cracked overhead. Impossible thunder from a cloudless sky. Sarah and Running Thunder raised their medicine sticks together, still singing. Power flowed between them like visible light, just as it had during the healing dance. The Apache scout's horse reared, nearly unseating him. The young man's face showed recognition of the medicine being worked, and fear of its strength. Powerful. "Bad medicine," he shouted in English. "They work forbidden healing." But Sarah saw something else in his eyes as he studied their joined stance. A flicker of memory, perhaps, of his grandmother's teachings about older ways, when healing knew no boundaries. Running Thunder had spoken of this scout, his cousin, who had once shown interest in healing ways before choosing the warrior's path. Their song reached its peak as the eagle bone whistle's final note faded. In the silence that followed, nature itself seemed to hold its breath. Then, with timing that could only have been spirit-sent, a massive eagle swept through the canyon, its wings nearly brushing the patrol's heads. The scout's face transformed with recognition. "Eagle spirit blesses their medicine," he whispered in Apache, too quietly for the cavalry to hear. His eyes met Running Thunder's, decades of shared teachings passing between them. The patrol leader raised his rifle again, but the scout caught his arm. "No, this place is sacred ground. Blood shed here brings powerful curse." The lie came smoothly, but carried deeper truth. "We must turn back." "Since when do you believe in—" the leader began. "Since I see Eagle Spirit itself guard them." The scout's voice carried authority born of cultural knowledge. "You ask me to guide you through Apache lands. Now I tell you, we must leave this place." Confusion and superstition warred on the soldiers' faces. Finally, the leader signaled, "Retreat." "This isn't over," he warned, but his voice lacked conviction. As the patrol withdrew, the scout lingered briefly. "Grandmother would have understood your vision," he said to Running Thunder in Apache. Perhaps others will. Too, in time, when the hoofbeats faded, Sarah and Running Thunder remained still, letting their medicine settle. The eagle bone whistle had grown warm with use, its power spent but not diminished. Their joined songs had worked healing of a different kind, not of body, but of understanding. "Your cousin chose not to betray us," Sarah said softly. "He remembers." "Old teachings," Running Thunder answered. "Seeds of truth planted long ago, bloom when spirit decides." He touched the whistle gently. "Like our medicine songs, working change in ways we cannot see." The moon crystal caught starlight in its depths as Sarah turned it slowly in her hands. Grey Dove had led them to this hidden valley for the sacred night ceremony, saying the time had come for their medicines to be fully joined. The ancient stone, passed down through generations of healers, would guide their spirit walk. "Crystal holds memories of first medicines," Grey Dove explained, her weathered face silvered by moonlight. "From time before divisions, when all healing flowed from one source." She laid out her medicine blanket, marking sacred space with owl feathers and desert sage. "Tonight, Eagle Spirit says you must walk those memories, find medicine older than our quarrels." Running Thunder sat across from Sarah, the crystal's reflection dancing in his eyes. 2 months had passed since their escape from the cavalry patrol. Word of their combined healing power had spread through hidden paths, drawing those brave enough to seek medicine that bridged worlds. "Join hands," Grey Dove instructed, "and let Crystal show true path." She began a low healing song, older than any Sarah had learned, its words coming from the dawn of medicine itself. The crystal pulsed once between their joined hands, and the world shifted. Sarah felt herself falling into depths that glowed with moonlit wisdom. Running Thunder's presence anchored her, their spirits moving together through layers of ancient memory. They saw the first healers, before tribes drew lines between peoples. Watched medicine ways being born from Earth's own wisdom. The crystal showed them healing dances that honored all spirits, songs that knew no boundaries of tribe or race. "Your grandmother walked these memories," Running Thunder's spirit voice whispered. "Both our grandmothers. All true healers touch this source." The vision deepened. Sarah experienced Running Thunder's childhood, felt the moment Thunder spirits claimed him as their own. She understood now why the lightning had danced around him, marking him for a path between worlds. In turn, he lived her journey from Boston, society to frontier healing, felt her first awakening to medicine that transcended her training. Grey Dove's song wove through their shared vision, drawing them deeper still. The crystal revealed new healing ways, not just combining their separate medicines, but finding the root wisdom from which both had grown. Sarah saw how certain Apache ceremonies echoed European healing rituals, each reaching toward the same sacred truths from different paths. "All rivers flow to same sea," Grey Dove's voice reached them. "All medicine serves same spirit." The crystal flared with sudden power, and they found themselves walking through a new vision. Future possibilities unfolded, a healing lodge where Apache wisdom and settlers' medicine worked in harmony. Their shared path stretched before them, challenging but clear. They would build bridges between worlds, teach new generations to see medicine's unity. Their spirits drew closer, no longer separate, but joined like flowing streams. Love blossomed between them naturally, as desert flowers after rain. Blessed by the ancient wisdom flowing through the crystal, this too was medicine, the healing of divisions, not just between peoples, but between hearts. "Look," Running Thunder's spirit guided her. "Eagle's spirit shows more." The crystal's depths revealed Lightning Bear and his warriors, their anger burning against change. But behind the anger, Sarah saw fear. Fear of losing sacred ways, of traditions dissolving like morning mist. Understanding flowed through her, clear as crystal light. Their task was not to fight the old ways, but to show how traditions could grow stronger by flowing together. "Like river joining river," she whispered, "each bringing its own medicine, becoming something greater." The vision began to fade, the crystal's light softening. But before it released them, one final truth emerged. They saw themselves through Eagle Spirit's eyes, two healers marked by destiny, carrying medicine that could help mend the wounds between peoples. Their love was part of that medicine, a living example of divisions healed. They returned to their bodies slowly, hands still joined across the crystal. Grey Dove's song ended on a note of completion, and the moon reached its highest point. The old medicine woman nodded with satisfaction. "Eagle's spirit has shown true path," she said. "Crystal remembers, will help others understand. Now you carry oldest medicine in your joined hearts." She touched the crystal gently. "Keep this. We'll need its wisdom in days ahead." Sarah felt Running Thunder's hand tighten briefly on hers. The crystal glowed softly between them, filled now with their own memories, alongside the ancient ones. Their medicines had been fully joined, blessed by spirits older than the divisions of tribes and peoples. The moon cast their shared shadow on Grey Dove's medicine blanket. No longer two shapes, but one. Above them, an eagle's cry carried across the star-filled sky, witnessing their union in all its forms. The storm feather drifted down from slate-grey skies, its barbs traced with unusual markings, black lightning patterns that Grey Dove said, spoke of coming conflict. Sarah caught it before it touched earth, feeling its weight of warning. 3 days of increasingly urgent signs had preceded this one. Restless eagles circling, thunder speaking from cloudless skies, and now this messenger from the storm, spirits themselves. Lightning Bear gathers more than warriors. Running Thunder said, studying the feathers' markings, sends word to all tribes, says our medicine will destroy old ways, bring anger of ancestors. His face showed pain at this twisting of their healing work. Many believe him. Their hidden camp had become a refuge for those seeking their combined healing. A dozen family groups now lived under their protection, Apache families who believed in the new medicine, settler families who had chosen to learn older ways. But this morning's scout reports warned of forces gathering against them. Cavalry Captain builds case against us too, Grey Dove added, her aged fingers tracing the feather's lightning marks. Says we steal settlers from proper Christian ways. In practice, forbidden medicine. She smiled grimly. Truth and lies danced together in shadow times. Sarah touched the moon crystal where it hung beside her eagle feather. Its power had grown since the night ceremony, becoming a living testament to their joined medicines. But would its ancient wisdom be enough to face what was coming? How many ride with Lightning Bear? She asked in Apache, her command of the language. Now, nearly perfect. 7 bands, Running Thunder answered, maybe 100 warriors. Those who fear change most gather to his call. He dropped another storm feather beside the first, this one marked with crimson stains. Blood signs, they come, for war not talk. Sarah felt the weight of lives depending on them, not just their gathered families, but all those who might benefit from unified medicine in years to come. And the cavalry? 2 companies at least, Grey Dove said. Captain Jones claims we break treaties, steal good Christians for heathen ways. She snorted softly, as if spirit cares what name we use for healing prayer. Running Thunder's medicine stick thrummed with nervous energy as he traced sacred symbols in the dust. They will not attack separately, he said. Lightning Bear and Cavalry Captain make agreement. Lightning Bear gives location of our camp. Captain provides extra guns. His voice carried the bitterness of betrayal. They come together, 2 days from now. New moon dark when medicine powers run low. Sarah closed her eyes, letting the storm feather's warning flow through her healer's senses. She saw the pattern forming, not just physical danger, but a spiritual challenge that would test everything they had built. We could leave. Running, Thunder said softly, take our closest families, find new territory, start again. But his voice held no conviction. They both knew running would only delay the inevitable confrontation between old ways and new. No, Grey Dove spoke for them all. Eagle Spirit did not bring you together to run from shadow. Medicine must face darkness to bring healing. She began laying out her sacred tools, owl feathers for wisdom, sage for cleansing, stones for strength. We prepare properly, call all medicines, old and new. Sarah opened her medicine bag, given to her by Running Thunder's cousin after the canyon confrontation. Inside, wrapped in soft leather, lay the broken arrow, now mended with silver bands marked with healing symbols from both their traditions. Like this arrow, she said, stronger where it was broken because it carries both medicines. Running Thunder touched the arrow gently. Yes, but mending this was simple healing. Hearts and minds, he shook his head. Harder medicine. Then we must show them, Sarah said with quiet certainty. Not just tell them. Show them how medicines join to make stronger healing. The moon crystal pulsed at her throat, reminding her of ancient wisdom. Lightning Bear fears losing Apache ways. Captain Jones fears losing proper order. Both fear what they do not understand. Fear is wound of spirit, Grey Dove nodded. Needs spirit medicine to heal. They worked through the day, preparing medicines both physical and spiritual. The storm. Feathers watched over their work, their warnings clear, but not hopeless. This confrontation had been coming since the first moment Sarah opened her door to Running Thunder. The inevitable meeting of old ways and new. As dusk approached, thunder spoke from all four directions. Sarah and Running Thunder raised their medicine sticks in answer, their joined powers calling to the storm spirits. Above them, eagles circled in the gathering dark, their cries carrying hints of prophecy. The time of choosing approached for all peoples, but first would come the storm. The peace pipe lay unused in Grey Dove's weathered hands as dawn revealed the forces gathered against them. Lightning Bear's warriors stood like shadows against the eastern sky, while cavalry units flanked the southern approaches. The hidden valley that had sheltered their growing community now felt like a medicine bowl, ready to hold either healing or destruction. "They wait for someone to strike first spark," Running Thunder said softly. "Then blood will flow like spring floods." His medicine stick thrummed with gathered power, matching the energy Sarah felt coursing through her own. The moon crystal at her throat pulsed with ancient memories of peace ceremonies, while the eagle feather whispered of wisdom beyond human quarrels. Together, they had spent the night preparing their strongest medicine, not for war, but for healing deeper wounds than any blade could make. Lightning Bear's voice carried across the valley. "Send out the betrayer and his white medicine woman. Face justice of the people." His words held anger, but Sarah's healer's senses caught the fear beneath. Fear of change, of losing sacred ways, of failing his duty to protect traditions. Captain Jones added his own demands. "Surrender now. You stand accused of practicing forbidden heathen medicine, of leading good Christians astray." His cavalry units shifted restlessly, uncertain in this landscape of spirit and shadow. Sarah and Running Thunder exchanged a glance that carried months of shared understanding. Without words, they moved forward together, medicine sticks raised not in threat, but in ceremony. Grey Dove's voice rose behind them, beginning the oldest healing song, the one the moon crystal had shown them from times before division. "We come with peace," Running Thunder called in both Apache and English, "with medicine for all peoples." They walked slowly, deliberately, their joined presence drawing all eyes. Sarah wore both Apache dress and her grandmother's healing shawl. Running Thunder carried both his medicine stick and a doctor's bag taken from his father's last raid, symbols of their bridged traditions. "You destroy our ways with this mixing," Lightning Bear challenged. But his voice held less certainty as he watched their approach. Perhaps he saw the eagles circling overhead, or felt the thunder spirits gathering. Sarah spoke then, her Apache, clear and strong. "Medicine cannot be destroyed by growing stronger. Look!" She opened the doctor's bag while Running Thunder opened his medicine pouch. These work together now, saving more lives than either could alone. From the gathered families, behind them came voices of witness. A settler whose child they'd saved from fever spoke of Apache healing songs. An Apache mother told of Western medicines that had saved her twins. Each voice added strength to their medicine, proof of new ways serving all peoples. The moon crystal flared suddenly with bright power. Sarah felt ancient wisdom flow through her, joining with Running Thunder's thunder spirit medicine. Without planning, they began the healing dance, the one that had first shown their united power. Grey Dove's voice rose higher, and other medicine people from both sides joined her song. The peace pipe in her hands began to smoke untouched, sending sacred messages skyward. Thunder spoke from 4 directions, while the circling eagle dropped a feather that landed exactly between the opposing forces. "Watch now," Running Thunder called. "See truth of our medicine." Together, they demonstrated their healing ways. Sarah's frontier remedies flowed seamlessly into Apache spirit songs. Running Thunder's traditional medicines gained power from Western knowledge. The moon crystal's light touched all who watched, sharing visions of past unity and future hope. Lightning Bear's stance softened as he recognized ceremonies passed down from his own grandmother. Captain Jones's rigid authority wavered as he saw Christian prayers honored alongside indigenous wisdom. The divisions between peoples began to blur, if only for this moment of shared wonder. "This is not destruction of tradition," Sarah said into the growing stillness. "This is tradition growing stronger, like a river joined by many streams." "The old ones knew this truth," Running Thunder added. "Eagle spirit shows us past and future together, all medicines serving all peoples." Lightning Bear stepped forward, his face showing the struggle between duty and deeper understanding. "My grandmother," he began, "was sister to my grandmother," Grey Dove finished, approaching with the peace pipe. "They shared medicines before fear drew boundaries, remember?" The tension held for one more breath. Then Lightning Bear reached for the pipe, acceptance replacing anger in his bearing. Perhaps our ways can grow without being lost." Captain Jones watched the exchange, his military certainty challenged by witnessed wonders. "If peace holds," he said carefully, "perhaps arrangements could be made for proper study of these combined healing practices." The eagle screamed, triumph overhead, as Grey Dove lit the peace pipe properly. "New medicine grows from old roots," she declared. "All here will witness this truth." Sarah felt Running Thunder's hand find hers as the peace pipe began its circular journey. Their medicine had opened a path between worlds. Now others could choose to walk it. The wedding blanket held the light of dawn in its intricate patterns, each design telling the story of their joined paths. Apache symbols of healing flowed into European herbs. Thunder spirits danced with Christian crosses, and through it all ran the image of an eagle with outstretched wings. Grey Dove had overseen its weaving, guiding the medicine women of both peoples in creating something entirely new. "Like your medicines," she said, helping Sarah prepare for the ceremony. "This blanket carries wisdom of both worlds." The old woman's eyes held quiet triumph. 2 weeks had passed since the peacemaking, and already changes were flowing through both communities like spring waters. Sarah touched the blanket's sacred patterns, feeling power humming in its threads. She wore a dress that also bridged worlds, Apache designs adorning a frontier woman's wedding gown, medicine symbols carefully stitched alongside traditional lace. The moon crystal and eagle feather remained at her throat, now joined by a silver cross that had been her grandmother's. "Running Thunder brings the second blanket soon," Grey Dove continued, arranging Sarah's hair with ceremonial care. His grandmother prepared it before walking to Spirit World, saw this day in her medicine dreams. She smiled at Sarah's surprise. Old ones often see clearer than young. The ceremony would take place where the valleys joined, the same ground, where peace had been made. Already people gathered, Apache families and settler families, cavalry officers and tribal leaders, all coming to witness something unprecedented. Even Lightning Bear had arrived at dawn, his presence a powerful statement of changing times. Running Thunder appeared at the ceremony place, carrying his grandmother's blanket, its patterns echoing the one Grey Dove had helped create. He wore his medicine regalia combined with a settler's formal vest, 2 traditions meeting with natural grace. Their eyes met across the gathering space, carrying all the love and certainty that had grown between them. Grey Dove began the ceremony with the oldest healing song, the one they had learned from the moon crystal's memories. Other voices joined gradually, Apache medicine songs weaving through Christian hymns, creating harmony where once there had been division. The eagle they had come to know circled overhead, its cry blessing their union. They met in the center of the ceremonial circle, where Running Thunder's cousin, now a believer in their unified medicine, had laid out sacred objects from both traditions. The peace pipe shared space with communion bread. Medicine pouches lay beside Bible verses, each item representing bridges built between worlds. 2 medicines become one, Running Thunder said in Apache, then repeated in English for all to understand. 2 healers joined their paths. His hands held the blanket his grandmother had woven. 2 streams joined to form mighty river, Sarah responded in both languages, holding Grey Dove's blanket. Their words carried power built through months of shared healing and shared danger. Together, they wrapped each other in the blankets, creating a shelter of joined traditions. The moon crystal flared with approval, its light touching everyone in the circle. Even those who had most strongly opposed their union felt the rightness of this moment. Lightning Bear stepped forward, his warrior's stance softened by growing understanding. "My people watched you build bridges where we saw only walls," he said. "Now we learn to walk these bridges ourselves." He presented them with a medicine shield decorated with symbols of unity. Captain Jones followed, awkward but sincere in his ceremonial role. "The fort will support your healing work," he declared. "Your combined practices have proved their worth." He handed them an official document, recognizing their right to practice both forms of medicine. Grey Dove raised her medicine stick, calling thunder from clear skies. "Eagle spirit witnesses," she proclaimed. "Old medicines and new medicines flow, together now like married souls." Her words carried the weight of prophecy. "Children will come who know no boundaries in healing." This is good medicine. The ceremony concluded with both Apache wedding rituals and frontier traditions, neither diminished by joining with the other. As the final prayers faded, Sarah and Running Thunder stood wrapped in their prophetic blankets, surrounded by a community no longer divided by fear. "Look," Running Thunder murmured, indicating the gathering. Apache medicine people spoke earnestly with frontier doctors, comparing knowledge. Settler women learned weaving patterns from tribal mothers. Children played together unconsciously, building the future Grey Dove had foreseen. Sarah leaned into his embrace, feeling the power of their joined medicines pulse through the blankets. "This is only the beginning," she said softly. Above them the eagle screamed agreement, while thunder spirits sang of paths yet to come. Their marriage, like their healing work, would build bridges between worlds. But now they would walk that path together, wrapped in prophecy and promise, carrying medicines strong enough to mend ancient wounds. A new medicine pouch hung beside the old one on their healing lodge wall, its designs telling the story of bridges built and traditions joined. 1 year had passed since their wedding ceremony, and the changes they dreamed of were taking root like desert plants after life-giving rain. Sarah stood in the doorway of their lodge, watching the sunrise paint the valley in familiar golds. And roses, the same colors that had greeted her first morning as a frontier widow, now blessed a very different life. Her hand rested unconsciously on her swelling belly where their first child grew. A new generation that would know no boundaries. In healing, Running Thunder worked nearby in their medicine garden, where European herbs grew alongside Apache healing plants. Their scents mingled on the morning breeze, sage and lavender, desert mugwort and frontier mint, each made stronger by the company it kept. Like their medicines, like their love, like the future they were building. "Riders coming," he said, straightening. Now from his work. But his voice held no tension. These were not hunters or enemies, but seekers of their combined healing wisdom. Every week brought new students, both Apache and settler, drawn by stories of medicine that bridged worlds. Grey Dove emerged from her teaching lodge, where she instructed young healers in the oldest songs, the ones that knew no tribal boundaries. Her presence had been essential in helping others accept their new ways. Now she watched with quiet satisfaction as her prophecies bloomed into reality. "The captain sends 3 more students today," she announced. "Army doctors who wish to learn Apache medicine ways." Her weathered face creased with amusement. "And Lightning Bear's youngest daughter comes to study settler healing herbs. World changes like river flowing, cannot stop such medicine." Sarah touched the moon crystal at her throat, feeling ancient wisdom pulse through it. The crystal had taught them that all healing sprang from the same source, and now others were remembering that truth. Even the eagle feather that had started her journey had been joined by others, each marking a bridge built between traditions. Their healing lodge had become exactly what Eagle Spirit's visions had promised, a place where all medicines were honored, where wisdom flowed freely between peoples. Settler doctors worked alongside Apache healers, each learning from the other's knowledge. Children played in the medicine gardens, absorbing both traditions as naturally as they breathed the desert. Here Running Thunder joined her in the doorway, his hand finding hers with familiar warmth. The broken arrow, now mended with silver and ceremony, hung above their door as testament to the possibility of healing ancient wounds. "My father would not believe his eyes," he said softly. "Or perhaps he would. Grandmother always said he had healer's heart beneath warrior's shield." "All hearts can heal," Sarah answered in Apache, the language now as natural to her as English, "when medicines flow together like living waters." She had seen this truth proven again and again over the past year, as former enemies became students of each other's wisdom. Their own romance had become part of the healing, a story told around fires, inspiring others to look past the boundaries of tribe and race. Young couples from both peoples now came to them for blessing, drawn by the example of love that had helped build bridges between worlds. The eagle they had known from the beginning appeared overhead, greeting the morning with a familiar cry. Its presence had become a symbol of their work, recognized by all who sought their healing wisdom. Like the thunder spirits that still danced around Running Thunder in times of powerful medicine, it reminded them that some forces transcended. Human divisions. Grey Dove approached, carrying a small bundle wrapped in soft leather. "For the child," she said, presenting it to Sarah, "medicine tools that will know both worlds from birth." Inside lay tiny versions of their own tools, medicine stick and doctor's bag, healing crystals and surgical scissors, all sized for small, hands that would inherit their legacy. Sarah felt tears of gratitude warm her eyes. Their child would be born into a world they had helped create, where healing knew no boundaries and love could bridge any divide. Running Thunder's arm tightened around her, his own emotion evident in his silence. The morning sun rose fully over their valley as the first students arrived. Sarah and Running Thunder moved to greet them, their joined medicines ready to teach new generations. Above them, eagle wings caught the dawn's light, casting shadows that looked like bridges across the healing ground. They had found their true medicine, not just in herbs or ceremonies, not just in joined traditions or shared wisdom, but in the healing of divisions themselves. That was the strongest medicine of all.